Skype launched nearly a decade before Zoom, so why does everyone use Zoom now instead? Before the pandemic shut down the world, Skype held the largest share of the video calling market.
Firstly, we will make a new composition of around 6 seconds. Then we will import our background image and adjust its scale. And then we will search for Gaussian blur in the effect and preset and put it to horizontal and put the blurriness around 40. Then we will import our wooden base and then we will adjust its size and position. Then we will import the PNG of monitor and adjust its size. Then we will import the Skype logo and we will adjust the size and position it in the middle of monitor. And then we will pre-compose our both layers and name it as lap.1, and then we will copy paste it 5 times and then we will adjust their position. Then we will search for fog overlay and change its blending mode to overlay and adjust its size a little bit, and in the effect and preset search for tint, little bit dark reddish color. And then we will import our PNG of Skype founder, adjust its position and position it to the right place. Then we will add text 2011 and in the effect and preset search for slider control and put it onto our text and open the text and parent our source text to the slider control, and we will adjust its scale and position. Then in effect and preset we will search for Gaussian blur and put it onto our text layer, blur dimension horizontal and put our blurriness to around 20 or 30. And next we will animate our slider control from 2003 to 2011 and put our keyframes just like that, and press the Alt key on the stopwatch and put the brackets in the expression and type the expression math.round and make sure to make capital M. And we will ease the keyframes and make the graph just like that. Then we will make a new null object and parent our all monitor layers to the null object so we can adjust all of their positions with the help of null object. Then in effect and preset we will search for brightness and contrast and put it onto our monitor layer and put the brightness around -100 and copy paste this effect to all the monitor layers. And then we will zoom out our whole composition and we will make our ear timeline which is in the actual video, and we will make a horizontal ear timeline, and then we will also make a vertical line and reduce down its stroke width around 5. Then we will search for reflecting lines in the effect and preset so we can make multiple lines without doing much work. Firstly we will delete our save layer and then we will adjust our settings of repeating lines. We will adjust their length, we will reduce down the length around 50, or we can check with our requirements We will adjust their width and we will adjust the number of copies that we want. And we will increase their gap, and then we will create a new null object and parent both the shape layer to the null object, so later on we can animate our whole year timeline. Then we will need to individually make all the text layer of years. Then we will copy paste our text layer and we need to position it individually and change the text 1996 1997, and we need to take it till 2020, and we will do the same thing for the whole composition and make sure to parent and link to the null 5. And we will do such like that, and we will also animate our whole layer with the help of null object and make the graph such like that. Then we will pre-compose our whole layer of year timeline, name it as year underscore count. Then we will search for tritone in the effect and preset and put it onto our Skype founder layer and make the midtones little bit reddish. And then we will search for brightness and contrast and put it onto our year count layer and reduce down our brightness around -50. Then we will pre-compose our whole monitor layer named as old laptop. Then for making up our next scene, we will import our background and adjust its size. And then we will search for Gaussian blur and blur dimension to horizontal and increase the blurriness around 30. Then we will search for tint and we will make color just like that. Zoom founder PNG and adjust its size. Then we will again search for tint and reduce down the amount of tint percentage around 30%. Then we will open our text menu and type the text 2011. We will scale the size of text and position it to the required position. Then we will import our fog overlay and change its blending mode to overlay, and in the effect and preset we will search for tint and make the color just like that, and we will reduce down the opacity a little bit so we will get a little bit of darkish color. We will select the blending mode of text as overlay and we will reduce down its opacity around 60. And then for our next scene we will bring our wooden support and increases its length and width according to the requirement and position it onto the right place. And then we will import our laptop PNG and adjust its scale and position it to the required place. Then we will import our Zoom S logo and adjust its size, and we will put it into middle of our laptop. And then we will pre-compose our both layers as laptop underscore zoom, and we will make duplicate its 5 times, and then we will adjust their position according to the required scene. And then we will make a new null object and we will parent all of our laptop layers and wooden support to the null object. and then we will pre-compose our whole layers. Laptop dash zoom, so we can do movement by the help of that layer, and then we will search for Gaussian blur on the text layer and put the blurriness to horizontal and the value around 30. Then we will search for brightness and contrast and put it on to our fog layer and reduce down the brightness around -50 and increase down the contrast around 50, and make sure to on use legacy button. Then we will again search for brightness and contrast on our background image and reduce down the brightness a little bit and increase contrast a little bit, so we are getting our desired look. And then we will make a new solid for our next scene. Then we will search for fractal noise in the effect and preset and change values blending mode to overlay and noise type to linear and fractal type to dynamic, and we will reduce down its opacity around 50%. Then we will import our next assets, our hand PNGs. We will adjust their position and size according to the required scene. We will make a duplicate of our hand one, and then we will import our laptop PNG, and then we will import our zoom logo and we will copy paste it, and then we will pre-compose our respective layers of zoom logo and the font PNGs. Then we will search for exposure in the effect and presets. Then we will search for the exposure in effect and preset and put the exposure around -100 and put the keyframes from -100 to 0, so we will get the required look of the actual video from full blackish color to the actual PNG. And we will do this to the all PNGs of all three font PNG and the laptop PNG. And we will adjust the keyframes, and then we will make a new null object and we will parent and link all the remaining layer in the composition to the null 7, so we can do the motion of scale and rotation of the whole composition, which you can see in the actual video. Whether it is a pre-composed layer or any simple text layer, we will take our ink drop transitions for making transition between the scenes. For making transition between our first scene, firstly we will connect it to the null 7, and the layers which are above the ink drop transition, make sure to track mate them, all of them, to the ink drop transition, and make sure to double click on the toggle switch which is on to the right side of the track mat, and adjust the size of ink drop transition little bit, and right click it and go to time, and in the time stretch put the value around 33. And then for transition of our second scene, we will put our another ink drop transition and we will do the same thing. Firstly we will reduce down the time factor around 33%, and those layers which are above our ink transition, make sure to own the track mate of all the layers above the ink drop transition. Firstly we will scale down the ink drop transition a little bit, and then we will own the track mate of all the layers as ink drop transition 2, and make sure to own the toggle switch on the right side of the track mate. And then we will search for turbulent displays and put it on to our ink drop transition, and displacement at vertical displacement and amount is -50, and reduce down the size a little bit, so we can get a distorted look. And we will increase the complexity a little bit, and then we will animate our null object. Firstly, we will click on the stopwatch of the scale icon and put the value of 10,000 0.11 second. We will reduce down the size around 500, and 3.20 second, and we will again reduce down the size around 100, and around 6 seconds we will again increase the size around 150. For the rotation, we will make a keyframe at the starting point and put the value around plus 45 degree, and we will make the next keyframe at 3.18 second and make the rotation as plus 15 degree, and then we will adjust the size of our composition layers which are out of the frame, and then we will make the graphs such like that to get the smooth motion of zoom in and rotation. And for the final touches, we will make a new adjustment layer, and in the effect and preset we will search for sharpen effect and increase the sharpness a little bit, search for geometry color and do some basic color correction.